Signal from the stars. The Luminara drifted silently through the void, its once gleaming hull now scared and darkened. Inside the damaged vessel, 5 alien beings huddled around the ship's central command console, their breathing apparatus hissing softly in the thinning atmosphere. They were the last survivors of a scientific expedition that had ventured too close to contested space. Captain Rylick, a towering Calliston with mottled blue skin and 6-fingered hands, studied the failing life support readings with all 4 of his eyes. "Status report, Nexus," he said, addressing the ship's slender chief engineer. Nexus lifted their crystalline head, the light refracting through their translucent features. "The antimatter containment field is holding at 23%, Captain. We have perhaps 48 standard hours before complete failure." Their voice chimed like distant bells. "The propulsion system cannot be repaired with our remaining resources. And communications?" Rylick asked, already knowing the answer. Tavik, the ship's communication specialist, a small reptilian being with iridescent scales, shook his head. "The quantum relay was destroyed in the attack. We've rigged a primitive radio transmitter, but its range is limited to this star system." He hesitated. "There's something else, Captain. We've detected a habitable planet in this system, third from the central star. It shows signs of civilization." Rylick's upper eyes narrowed. "What species?" "Humans," replied Solix, the xenobiologist. Her gelatinous form rippled with anxiety. "We're in the outer reaches of their territory. They're a Class 3 civilization, pre-warp technology, but advancing rapidly." "Humans," Rylick repeated, mandibles clicking in contemplation. "The Galactic Council has prohibited contact with them. They're deemed too unpredictable, too emotional." Vreen, the ship's physician and oldest crew member, spoke up. Her avian features were calm despite the crisis. "The Council's protocols won't matter if we're dead, Captain. We need help, and the humans are our only option." Silence fell over the command center as each crew member considered their limited choices. The Luminara had been attacked by Dracarian raiders, pirates known for their brutality, while conducting a survey of an uncharted nebula. The attackers had disabled their ship and left them for dead, taking their most valuable research data. "Very well," Rylick finally decided. "Tavik, prepare the distress signal. Encode it with basic mathematical sequences, something intelligent beings would recognize as artificial. Nexus, divert power from non-essential systems to boost the transmission." Within hours, a simple repeating signal pulsed outward from the Luminara, carrying with it the desperate hopes of 5 stranded aliens. Dr. Eliza Chen sat alone in her private observatory, a converted barn on her remote Montana property. At 42, she had already resigned from her position at NASA after disagreements about the agency's priorities. Now, she conducted her own SETI research, scanning the stars for signs of intelligent life, a pursuit many of her former colleagues considered a waste of time. The coffee had gone cold beside her computer when the anomalous signal first appeared on her equipment. Eliza stared at the screen, heart racing as she analyzed the pattern. It wasn't random noise or a natural phenomenon. The signal repeated with perfect precision. Prime numbers, followed by simple equations, then what appeared to be coordinates. "My God," she whispered, hands trembling as she ran the confirmation algorithms. After 20 years of searching, she'd finally found it. Proof of extraterrestrial intelligence. Protocol dictated that she should contact government authorities immediately. Instead, Eliza began calculating the signal's origin point. It was coming from within our solar system, just beyond Jupiter's orbit. And something about the transmission suggested urgency. Eliza made her decision in seconds. Before alerting anyone, she would attempt contact on her own terms. She calibrated her transmitter and sent a response using the same mathematical pattern. Then she waited. The reply came within minutes, more complex mathematics, followed by what appeared to be simplified diagrams of a damaged spacecraft. "They need help," Eliza realized. She didn't need to understand their language to recognize a distress call. What followed was 3 days of frantic preparation. Elisa cashed in her life savings and called in favors from her former colleague, Dr. Marcus Wong, who now worked for a private aerospace company. She told him only that she needed to reach a specific location for a critical observation, a once-in-a-lifetime astronomical event. "This is insane," Elisa, Marcus said as they stood before the experimental spacecraft. "This vessel hasn't been cleared for manned flight beyond Earth orbit. It's still in testing phases. It's hypersonic and has life support for 2 weeks," Eliza replied, loading her equipment. "That's all I need." "And you're qualified to pilot it, how exactly?" Elisa smiled grimly. "I was in the astronaut program for 8 years before I switched to research. I'm certified on 3 different spacecraft. This isn't so different." Marcus wanted to object further but recognized the determination in his friend's eyes. "The company will notice it's missing in about 48 hours. After that, I'll be far enough away that it won't matter," Eliza finished for him. The launch was nerve-wracking but successful. As Earth shrank behind her, Elisa continued communicating with the alien vessel. Through mathematical exchanges and simple pictographs, she conveyed her approach and intentions to help. 6 days into her journey, she finally spotted the Luminara, a strange, elegant ship unlike anything humans had ever designed. Its hull gleamed with an otherworldly metal despite the visible damage to its aft section. As Elisa maneuvered closer, she felt a momentary flood of doubt. What if this was a trap? What if she'd misunderstood their intentions? But there was no turning back now. She'd come too far, risked too much. As her ship established a docking connection with the alien vessel, Elisa donned her spacesuit and sealed her helmet. Whatever waited on the other side of that airlock would change humanity's understanding of the universe forever. The massive doors cycled open, revealing a dimly lit corridor. Elisa stepped forward, her helmet light illuminating the strange architecture, all flowing curves and materials that seemed to shift color with the angle of her beam. Then, at the corridor's end, 5 figures emerged from the shadows. Elisa froze, her breath catching as she beheld the alien beings. Each was utterly different from the others. One tall and blue-skinned with multiple eyes, another seemingly made of living crystal, a third reptilian, the fourth gelatinous, and the 5th avian. They were beautiful and terrifying all at once. The tallest one stepped forward and made a gesture that somehow conveyed both caution and welcome. It spoke, the sounds unlike anything Eliza had ever heard, but she understood the situation clearly enough. These beings were stranded, their ship damaged, and somehow, against all odds, her signal had been the one they received. Slowly, Eliza removed her helmet, revealing her human face to extraterrestrial beings for the first time in history. "My name is Dr. Eliza Chen," she said, knowing they wouldn't understand her words but hoping they might grasp her intention. "I'm here to help." Between worlds. The aliens regarded Eliza with expressions she couldn't begin to interpret. The crystalline being approached first, extending what appeared to be an arm ending in a delicate, faceted appendage. Instinctively, Eliza reached out her own hand. When they touched, a mild electrical current passed through her fingers, and strange symbols appeared in the air between them, a holographic display emanating from the crystalline alien. "Remarkable," Eliza murmured, realizing this was some form of communication technology. The symbols shifted rapidly, eventually transforming into crude English letters. Translation Matrix AD Language Acquisition in Prog. The avian creature stepped forward, speaking in a melodic trill. The floating text translated, "I am Vreen, physician of the Luminara. These are Captain Rylick, Engineer Nexus, Communications Specialist Tavik, and Xenobiologist Solix. We are grateful for your response, human Eliza Chen." "You can understand me?" Eliza asked, astonished. "Your language patterns menatj our archives. Refinement continuing. We have observed your species from afar," explained Captain Rylick, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, though direct contact has been forbidden until now. Eliza processed this revelation with scientific detachment, setting aside the philosophical implications for later. Your ship is damaged. I'm here to help if I can. Follow, said Nexus, the crystalline engineer. Show damage, time limited. Eliza was led through the alien vessel, marveling at technology centuries beyond human capability. The ship's design followed biological principles rather than mechanical ones, systems integrated like organs in a living body. They arrived at the engine room, where a containment field shimmered around what appeared to be a small star suspended in midair. Antimatter reactor, Nexus explained through the translator. Containment failing. When fails, ship explodes. How long do we have? Eliza asked, studying the complex systems. 36 hours, replied Rylek. Can you assist? Eliza stared at the alien technology, knowing she couldn't possibly understand its principles in such a short time. But she noticed something familiar. The mathematical patterns governing the containment field were similar to equations she'd worked with in theoretical physics. I can't fix your reactor, she admitted, but I might be able to help stabilize the containment field long enough for repairs or evacuation. My ship has power cells that could be modified to reinforce your field generators. The aliens conferred among themselves in their various languages, the translator struggling to keep up. Finally, Relek turned to her. We accept your offer, Dr. Chen. Nexus will assist with the integration of your technology. As they worked, Eliza learned more about the Luminara's mission and its crew. They belonged to different species from a coalition called the Galactic Council, an alliance of spacefaring civilizations that had been observing Earth for centuries. Why hasn't the Council contacted us officially? Eliza asked as she and Nexus modified her ship's power cells. Nexus's crystalline body refracted light as they worked. Humans are unpredictable. Some council members fear your potential. Your species advances quickly, adapts rapidly. Some find this threatening. And what do you think? I think, Nexus responded, that your willingness to aid strangers from the stars speaks well of your kind. 12 hours into their work, the ship's alarms blared. Tevik's voice came over the internal communication system, his words translated into flashing text before Eliza's eyes. DREKARIN vessel DTCT-80. Approaching rapidly. Rillick appeared at the engine room entrance. The raiders who attacked us have returned. They must have tracked our distress signal. What do they want? Eliza asked. Our research data was valuable, but incomplete. They likely want our specimens and our scientists. Rylek's upper eyes narrowed. They are known for enslaving captives with useful knowledge. Eliza's mind raced. How much time before they reach us? 2 hours at most. Our weapons are offline, and even with your help, the engines won't be repaired in time. Eliza looked around the engine room, an idea forming. What if we don't need to fight or flee? What if we hide? The Drakarians have advanced scanning technology, Solix objected. They will find us. Not if we're not here to find, Eliza countered. She turned to Nexus. Your containment field, it warps space around the antimatter, correct? Could we expand it to encompass the entire ship? Nexus's crystalline features shifted. Theoretically, yes, but the power requirements would be enormous, and the effect temporary. My ship's power cells combined with your remaining energy might be enough for a short phase shift, Eliza suggested. We could briefly push the Luminara slightly out of normal space-time. Not enough for actual dimensional travel, but enough to become undetectable. The alien stared at her, the translator struggling to convey the complexity of her proposal. Finally, Rilek spoke. This is why some fear humans, he said. You conceive solutions others would never imagine. Can you implement this plan? With Nexus's help, yes. But we'd need to work fast. The next 90 minutes passed in a blur of calculations and modifications. Eliza and Nexus reconfigured the containment field projectors while the rest of the crew prepared the ship. The Dracarian vessel grew closer, its menacing profile now visible through the viewports. "They're hailing us," Pavic reported, demanding surrender. "Stall them," Rylak ordered. "Dr. Chen, how much longer?" Eliza wiped sweat from her brow. "Almost ready. But there's a complication. Someone needs to remain partially outside the field to activate it and monitor the system. It's too dangerous to automate with the time we have." "I will do it," offered Nexus. "No," Eliza said firmly. "I'll do it. This was my idea, and I'm the one with the least knowledge of how to repair your ship if something goes wrong with the other systems." Before the aliens could protest, a violent impact rocked the Luminara. The Dracarians had fired a warning shot. "No more time for debate," Eliza declared. "Everyone to your positions. When I give the signal, Nexus, initiate the field expansion." The crew dispersed, leaving Eliza alone at the control console. She calibrated the final settings and opened a communication channel to the main bridge. "Ready when you are, Captain." "The Dracarians are preparing to board," Rylak's voice came through. "We detect their shuttle approaching." "Perfect timing," Eliza muttered. She took a deep breath and pressed the activation sequence. "Now, Nexus." Energy surged through the ship as the containment field began to expand. The lights flickered, and a strange sensation washed over Eliza, as if reality itself was becoming thin around her. Through the viewport, she watched the approaching Dracarian shuttle suddenly stop, its pilots clearly confused by the disappearing target. For 20 tense minutes, the Luminara existed in a state between dimensions, visible to Eliza only because she remained partly anchored to normal space through her control station. The Dracarians searched the area, their powerful scanners sweeping back and forth, finding nothing. Finally, they departed, their ship accelerating away in frustration. Only then did Eliza begin the careful process of returning the Luminara to normal space. As reality solidified around them, she allowed herself a moment of relief before exhaustion took over. When she awoke, Eliza found herself in the ship's medical bay with Threen attending to her. "You succeeded," the avian physician told her. "The Dracarians are gone, and the containment field is stabilized with your power cells. Enough for you to reach safety." "Yes, Captain Rylak has set course for a hidden council outpost. We will arrive in 3 days." Later on the bridge, Rylak addressed Eliza formally. "The council will need to reevaluate its position on humanity after I report what happened here. Your ingenuity saved not only our lives, but potentially years of irreplaceable research." "What happens to me now?" Eliza asked. "I violated your non-contact protocols, and on Earth, I've stolen a spacecraft and disappeared." Rylak's mandibles clicked in what Eliza had come to recognize as amusement. "We offer you a choice, Dr. Chen. We can return you to Earth with technology that will allow you to communicate with us secretly. You would become humanity's first unofficial ambassador to the stars. Or you can continue with us to the outpost. See a small part of the galaxy now, rather than waiting for your species to develop the necessary technology. The choice is yours." Eliza gazed out at the stars, so familiar yet suddenly full of new possibilities. She thought of Earth, her home, her species, still unaware of the greater community waiting among the stars. Someone needed to prepare humanity for the truth, someone they would trust. "I'll return," she decided, "but I want your promise that this won't be the end of contact. Earth deserves to know we're not alone." "You have my word," Rylak said, extending all 4 of his hands in what she recognized as a solemn gesture. "This is merely the beginning." As the Luminara changed course for Earth, Eliza began composing the message she would deliver to humanity. Not a warning, not a scientific paper, but an invitation to look beyond our world with hope rather than fear, to prepare for a future among the stars. Because when that future arrived, humanity would need to be ready. And thanks to one human's courage and one alien crew's desperation, they would be.